Hey, Mr. Welker! Mr. Welker!
Who's that?
You need any help? I just want you to know, I think, you're the bestest ever.
Yeah, sure, kid.
You want my Coke?
No, kid.
No, really, it's okay. You can have it.
Thanks.
A Coke and a smile, turns on the sun, makes me feel good, so refreshing, makes me feel nice. Have a Coke and a smile, that's the way it should be, and I like to see the whole world smiling with me. Coca-Cola has life, have a Coke and a smile.
Hello, everyone. Jeffrey Callahan here from Channel 3 News. I'm here with Aryo Nagdevan, a man that saw the Iran hostage crisis unfold. How are you doing today, Aryo?
I'm well, Jeffrey.
Awesome. So we'll get this interview started with our first question, which is, what specific events do you remember leading up to the hostage crisis?
Well, it was 1977, and at the time I was 13 years old. So, looking back, my father was a high-ranking officer with the Iranian army. He was a major at retirement at the time in 1976. And after the World War II, the original king of Iran was removed, and his son, which was very young, 23 or 24 years old, and his father was exiled to a remote island, Cyprus, I believe. But the young son was put in the power, and he was given the label of Shahanshah, which means the king of the kings. At the time, people really wanted freedom of expression, more freedom, because the king was really hands-on, and there was no freedom of press, there was no freedom of expression, there was no freedom of rally. Your opinions, if you said anything or wrote anything that was anti-regime, people sort of just disappeared. The People's Revolution, because the most important motivation behind it was the religion. And it got to the point that there were people who were demonstrating with God-like, God is great slogans. So this took a turn. The rallies went against the regime. Okay, God is great, but we want Shah gone. That was really the economic situation, on top of oppression of the regime and lack of freedom to speak out. What is bothering you?
So in America during 1979, when there were Americans held captive in the embassy, did you personally receive any discrimination towards you and your family coming from Iran?
Yeah, that was actually a rough year. I had just entered high school as a sophomore. I had lived in the community that I was at just part of 9th grade, so I was really new. So going to high school, it was 3 different junior high schools that migrated to this high school, so I was more unknown, but kind of a target, because the people that did know me knew me where I was from. Back then, if you saw a t-shirt with Mickey Mouse showing his middle finger and underneath it said Nuke Iran, was not uncommon. I remember one time talking to my friends, and I got hit by this guy. For whatever reason, he thought he was being a patriot and whatnot, but he was just being a thug. Oh, they were saying, no, this guy is the cool Iranian, which was, I thought that was pretty funny at the time, because I thought, well, what does that make the rest of us? Are we all uncool? So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy, but, we definitely, as minorities in this country at the time, had to face the burden.
So, Aryo, looking back at your time in Iran, what life lessons did you learn from living in a country like that, and what sort of things shaped you into the person you are today?
Well, the most prominent thing that you always find in the Persian family is their closeness and the fact that the bond within family members is so strong. Our unity was very great. So that cohesiveness and the hospitality and the fact that Persians really pride themselves as being the most hospitable nation on earth. And that's what we want to be known for. And I love that because I'm doing that right now. I'm very close to my kids. Family is very important. The government has its own aura, and all governments do throughout the world. But the people are amazing.
Okay, so this question's a little bit complicated, but I'm just going to say it anyway. So if you could go back in time and you had all the power to change anything you want, whether it be political or social or anything that could change the future of Iran, what would that one thing be that you could change?
I think it's a common knowledge among 90+% of Persians is they would have never backed this current regime. They wanted to have a democratic nation. That's what I would change. Make sure what people wanted when they did decide to revolt for the better.
So Ariel, have you been back to Iran since all this happened? And if you have, what were some of the locations and places that you miss and kind of reminisce on during your childhood there?
I did go back. The first time I went back was in 1993, which was approximately 16 years after my first migration, 77, 93. And it was horrific. I was only there 2 weeks. I couldn't wait to get out of there. Women were forced to wear veils, covered completely. I really enjoyed the last trip in 2005. Women were not as oppressed. They did not have to cover, but I definitely saw a progression toward freedom, progression through defiance, that we're gonna want it and you can't just like stop all of us.
Yeah.
So things are better, and I'm hoping for the next trip, maybe in a year or two, take my kids down and show them the Iran.
Okay, thank you, Ariel, for your time with me today. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm Jeffrey Callahan from Channel 3 News. Back to the studio. Back to the studio with Fernando Torres.
Introducing a new American road car. The all-new Ford LTD for $79, with more front seat room, more rear seat room, more window area, and more handling ease than last year's LTD. Plus the power of a V8 engine standard. A road car to take you across town or across the country.
This land is your land. This land is my land.
To test drive the all-new LTD on your own roads, see your Ford dealer.